You have to focus on politics at some point when you look at what you're doing. The announcement today, for example, the Bank of Canada rate dropping, it would seem like these would be positive signs that maybe you would want to go to the polls with. So when do you start thinking politically?
The Canadian political landscape was thrown into chaos Wednesday as Jagmeet Singh's announcement of his party exiting the supply and confidence agreement with the Liberal government was leaked a full 15 minutes prior to anyone officially being notified. Later in the afternoon, Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau reacted to this move with, shall we say, differing approaches.
Let's take a look.
Today, I notified the Prime Minister that I've ripped up the supply and confidence agreement. Canadians are fighting a battle for the future of the middle class. Justin Trudeau has proven again and again he will always cave to corporate greed. The Liberals have let people down. They don't deserve another chance. There is an even bigger battle ahead. The threat of Pierre Poilievre and conservative cuts from workers, from retirees, from young people, from patients, from families. He will cut in order to give more to big corporations and wealthy CEOs. The fact is, the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for people. They cannot be the change. They cannot restore the hope. They cannot stop the Conservatives, but we can. In the next federal election, Canadians will choose between Pierre Poilievre's callous cuts or hope. Hope that when we stand united, we win. That Canada's middle class will once again thrive together. In Canada, we take care of our neighbors. That's who we are. I've embraced that value my whole life. I'm running for Prime Minister because together we can and will stop conservative cuts. We can deliver relief and restore hope, fix healthcare, build homes you can afford, stop price gouging. It's always impossible until it isn't. It can't be done until someone does it. If we're together, nothing is impossible. And we won't let them tell us it can't be done. Big corporations and wealthy CEOs have had their government. It's the people's time.
Wasn't that something?
That was something, all right. It was definitely something. Okay, so the NDP and Jagmeet is actually sitting there expecting Canadians to believe that, oh, look at all the terrible things that Justin Trudeau's done, and he's done all this by himself. We didn't help him do that at all, but we're exiting the agreement that we helped him do all of these things, and now you should believe us, guys, for realsies this time.
Yeah, because Jagmeet's running for Prime Minister. Didn't you hear?
He's running for Prime Minister.
How are we going to get through this video?
My opinion's completely changed. I'm voting for NDP from now on. He's motivated me.
Stop.
How about everybody else? You feeling motivated? Like, holy.
This is such a joke. This guy went from supporting the Liberals the past 2 years, allowing them to destroy our country, and even having a helping hand in doing so, and now he thinks he's going to be the Prime Minister of Canada.
Yep.
Are you serious? No. I mean, all this bad stuff that has happened to this country in the past 2 years, Jagmeet has allowed to happen with his supply and confidence agreement with the Liberals.
Not even allowed, helped enable it to happen.
Yeah, enabled is a great word. And I mean, like, all this bad stuff happened with Jagmeet and Justin Trudeau at the helm, and now he decides to break off the confidence and supply agreement at the exact same time that inflation is slowing and the interest rates are coming down. Yesterday, Wednesday, the same day he released this video, interest rates came down 0.25%. So it's like, I think what's going to happen is that they're going to keep coming down. I believe analysts have said that because we're now in a recession. So these are the interest rates will keep coming down. Jagmeet is no longer in this coalition, so the Liberals can say, oh, look, he's gone, and look how we're fixing things. Vote for us. Don't vote for the NDP. Like, this was such a dumb move.
Well, and the language that he used, this wasn't just, this doesn't really make sense for us anymore, so we're going to be evaluating the votes on a vote-by-vote. No, he was trashing Justin Trudeau. So
yeah, he was all in.
The problem is so, like, not really many people believe that he is going to all of a sudden call an election. Like, not many people believe that. So this then comes back to, like,
what's he doing?
Are these guys are seriously, if that's the case, they are seriously the worst political strategist I think we've seen in Canada for a long, long time. I don't know who would top this, because this is what they should have done last spring. They would have been riding high, and Jagmeet Singh would have sailed into the official opposition. Now, the problem is that if they go now, their polling is way too low. So they're going to get creamed, and it would be too soon after the supply and confidence agreement. And then you say, okay, so then they have to wait. Well, it would only make sense to wait until the next session, to put some distance between the announcement of leaving the supply and confidence agreement to then actually going to an election. Well, the problem with that is that would most likely happen after February. And February is when Jagmeet Singh qualifies for his pension. So then any type of campaign that they're going to be running is just going to be blasted from all directions. Bloc is going to do this too in Quebec. You better believe it, that the only reason that they're running now is because now Jagmeet has his pension, and everyone will be furious about that.
Oh, Canadians will be livid.
So at this point, I am confident in saying there's no way that the election is going to be in October of 2025. You can take that to the bank.
I don't know. 2025. I thought you meant this year. Okay, because I'm wondering if my crazy prediction from our live stream on Sunday is going to come true, where I said that the NDP will win both of these by-elections, the one in Mar-la-Salle-Verdun and the one in Elmwood-Transcona, get emboldened and call an election. Well, which would be absolutely ridiculous. I don't think that's probable. But it's like this wild theory that I threw out there. So wouldn't that be wild?
It would be wild, that's for sure.
Because the only reason I can see for Jagmeet doing this right now is to try to give the candidates in those by-elections a leg up. That's saying, well, they're not part of the Liberal Party anymore.
Well, from what I've heard, because I've been watching a little bit more video than Tanya has today, is that what's been happening in these ridings when the door knocking has been going on for the NDP is they're going up to these doors and they're Liberal voters or former Liberal voters, and they're saying, don't vote for Justin and the Liberals, they're terrible. And they're like, you guys are supporting them. How are you telling us not to vote for the Liberals when you guys are literally supporting them?
Right.
So evidently they've been getting that feedback a lot, and now they're actually quite worried about what's going to happen in Elmwood-Transcona because of this. Remember, we said that the polling was overrepresenting the NDP.
Right.
So
by about 10 points.
So this kind of confirms this, because they're getting all of this negative feedback from the voters. So this may be a result of what they're hearing at the by-elections, complementing what the caucus has been telling them for the last year.
Well, and don't forget, they've been door knocking all summer, all across the country.
And this is all they've been hearing.
Right.
So no doubt it's the by-elections, and it's finally pressure from caucus, finally saying to Jagmeet, and maybe they threatened him, maybe they gave him an ultimatum for a change, saying, listen, this is what we've been hearing. If you don't exit this, you're done. So it's very interesting to see what happened. The problem is the way he did it. Obviously, from that letter, the caucus didn't really know how he was going to do it, which is always a big mistake. So he's put them in this cornered position now of, if they don't vote against the Trudeau government in the next confidence vote, they are going to just be blasted into political oblivion, because everyone is going to be looking at them and saying, you said that the Liberals don't deserve another chance. You said that they're weak. You said that they've cowed down to CEOs, yet you're keeping them in power still.
Right. Canadians want an election more than anything. We want to be able to decide the fate of our own futures.
So and he may do that. And the problem is again, the NDP is just going to be obliterated when that happens. He may surprise all of us, but at this point, all bets are off. Nobody knows what the heck the NDP is going to do. But there's someone who is trying to force them to do something. Let's take a look at what Pierre Poilievre had to say.
Thank you very much, everyone. And before I start, I just want to point out how great it is to be back in British Columbia, where my family used to take us for little vacations, camping trips. My folks were school teachers. They adopted me, and even though we came from modest means and went through a lot of hard times, it was always possible to have a modest vacation in our neighboring province of British Columbia. And my folks would tell me that, in Canada, it didn't really matter where you came from. It mattered where you were going. That anyone from anywhere could do anything. That's the country my wife came to as a refugee, starting as 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment, but now all of them have succeeded. That was the Canadian promise. Unfortunately, after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals, that promise is broken. Everything costs more. Work doesn't pay. Housing costs have doubled. We now have the worst housing costs in all of the G7. Housing is 25 to 45% more expensive in Canada than it is in the United States of America, where they have to house 8 times the people on a smaller landmass. Crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder are now taking over our once safe and serene streets. And what would the NDP do about it? Well, for the last 2 years, sellout Singh has signed on to a coalition, a costly coalition, to keep Trudeau in power, raising taxes, doubling housing costs, and unleashing crimes and drugs in our streets. Sellout Singh betrayed the workers who thought he would stand up for them. Instead, he has stood up for Trudeau, allowing Trudeau to double our debt and cause the worst inflation in 40 years. A third of Canadians now say they consider leaving Canada. 2 million line up at food banks. 2/3 of kids, young people, and families who don't own homes believe they never will in Canada. We never imagined that it would be so bad that hospitals would have coolers full of dead bodies because family members can't afford burials or cremations. But that's what Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, sellout Singh, have delivered. And then on food prices, well, food prices, I think we've got a CBC, oh my goodness, CBC's microphone has fallen down. What do you know? Who would have thought that I'd be holding on to the CBC logo here today? I'll give that to you. I don't know if that... everything is broken in Canada after 9 years of the NDP Liberals, including the CBC microphone.
Okay. I was going to let him go the whole way, but...
That was smooth.
It was, Pierre is one of the best improvisers.
He is.
Because that's a lot of stress to stand up there and give these press conferences, knowing that all of Canada is watching and people around the world. So... But when we were watching this earlier and that fell down and then he said Canada's broken, I actually said, it's like, well, including the CBC, and then he said it like 2 seconds later. So just want to applaud Pierre on that ad lib, and
that was brilliant.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, let's continue.
And now sellout Singh has pulled a stunt. The sellout Singh stunt today, where he came out and claimed that he was wrong, that the coalition was a bad, costly idea, but he refuses to commit to voting for a carbon tax election. So my message to sellout Singh is this. If you're serious about ending your costly carbon tax coalition with Trudeau, then commit today to voting for a carbon tax election at the earliest confidence vote in the House of Commons. That way we can have a carbon tax election where Canadians will decide between the costly coalition of Trudeau and sellout Singh that tax your food, punish your work, take your money, double your housing costs, and unleash crime and drugs on your street, or common sense conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. In so doing that, we'll bring home the country we love, where hard work earns a powerful paycheck that buys affordable food, gas, and homes in safe neighborhoods, where our military is strong and our people are safe, where immigration is welcome but controlled, where drug addictions are treated, not worsened, where children can play safely in the streets, where the flag flies high, where we are the freest country on earth, and where the common sense of the common people are united for our common home.
So this goes to some of the points that we were actually raising in our previous video. And one of the things that we'd said was the Conservatives are going to be bringing a confidence vote at their earliest opportunity. And we're not going to show you the rest of the press conference, but that link is in the video if you'd like to see. But one of the questions was, are you going to be bringing a confidence vote, or when are you going to be bringing a confidence vote? And Pierre's answer was, well, we don't have the calendar yet, meaning they are darn well going to be bringing a confidence vote at the earliest opportunity to throw in front of Singh.
Because the opposition doesn't get to present motions like every single day in the House. There's a calendar that they have to work off of. And it sounds like at the earliest opportunity, that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah. So I hope Singh's ready. And they've said, well, we're ready. We're ready for an election. And he's running for prime minister.
Well, and that's the thing. Did Singh actually calculate all this? Did he think about this ahead of time? Or is he really just that dumb?
They don't seem to have the foresight for any of this stuff.
No, because if they had a good political strategy, they would have done what we said they should have done back in March or April before the boundary change. Now that they are running an election after the boundary change, whether that's this fall, whether that's in the spring session, or whether that's in fall of 2025, it's harder for both the NDP and the Liberals, not because of what they've done to this country, but just because of how the boundaries have been redrawn across Canada.
Well, and the thing is that all the political analysts that have been looking at this have been having that screwed up face,
what is this guy doing?
What are you doing? Not the fact that he's exited the agreement, but the way he did, in that he completely cornered himself. And he's either going for an election, which nobody believes that he is, or they have miscalculated this, to the degree that Mount Everest is high, because I think Tanya was right. He didn't anticipate all of the other moves here, and this is par for the course for Jagmeet Singh. He's playing chess, and he says, "Oh, this is a great move," but doesn't understand that. Okay, so yeah, you moved your pawn out, but there was a pawn, a knight, and a bishop waiting for you. So that pawn's going to get taken, 3 ways to Sunday.
No, I think it's more like this. Pierre is like the grandmaster at chess, and Trudeau is just kind of learning how the game works. And then there's Jagmeet off in the corner eating the checker pieces. Well,
so the response from the Conservatives was perfect. Just perfect. Okay, fine. Well, you didn't say you're going to call an election. You said you're running for prime minister, and you called Trudeau a whole bunch of names. So,
Well, and we've heard all this before.
Right.
I know we've seen in our other video, many of you in the comments are saying, well, nothing's going to change, nothing's going to happen. And that may well be. But now, at least on paper, they don't have to support the Liberals. So Pierre is going to put them to the test. Pierre is going to throw in a non-confidence motion probably as soon as he can. And he's going to tell Jagmeet, put your money where your mouth is. If you really don't want to support these Liberals anymore, then call a carbon tax election.
well, and question period is going to be insane leading up to whenever that happens, because you can guarantee you the Conservatives are going to be poking Jagmeet and the NDP on this every single day, as often as they can on this. They're going to be poking him more. They're going to be poking Trudeau. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this kind of plays out. Because
And we're hoping to catch it live, so we shall see if we can make that a reality.
yeah, so whenever that confidence vote happens, we will be trying to live stream it. So stay tuned to whenever that happens. So it'll be a few weeks yet, but as soon as we know when opposition day is, because the Conservatives get to lay that first motion, that is when that will happen. So stay tuned to that. But in the meantime, let's hear what Justin Trudeau had to say.
Prime Minister Trudeau, you no longer have the support of the NDP. Your party is trailing in the polls, and the Conservatives are calling for an election. Is it time to send Canadians to the polls?
We're here today because we're delivering on school lunches and school food for thousands of kids across the province, and we're making investments that are going to be helping hundreds of thousands of kids across the country as people step up. These are the kinds of things that Canadians are looking for. As I traveled across the country this summer, people talk to me about making ends meet. They talk to me about the high cost of rent and the need for more housing. They talk to me about the environment and climate change and the impacts of it. And these are the things that we're focused on. I'll let others focus on politics, but I will point out that I really hope the NDP stays focused on how we can deliver for Canadians, as we have over the past years, rather than focusing on politics.
Oh, I bet you do.
Politicians shouldn't focus on politics. Like, oh, I hope they stay focused on, all these great things we've been doing instead of being focused on politics. Your job as a politician is to always be focused on politics. Yes, deliver for the citizens and do the right things for the country, but politics should not fall into the background.
Well, let me translate. Jagmeet, I know we broke up, but we should still be friends with benefits. Like,
Oh man,
that's what he's saying.
that's a visual I don't need.
That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying.
Gross.
So I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do hope that the NDP are still going to continue to vote you into a confidence level position, because otherwise you're done. And it's funny because in this press conference, Trudeau is using very, very similar language that he used back in 2015. So back in 2015, when the Conservative campaign was, really talking down Trudeau and that he wasn't ready and all this stuff, all you heard Trudeau say was, I'm going to let the Conservatives focus on me. I'm going to be focused on Canadians. So
It's very similar.
He's kind of changed that because that's the only thing that he really knows that has had any success at the in his political career. But this is a different ball game.
What will become of the programs that you announced as part of the agreement that you had with the NDP, such as pharmacare and dental care?
Well, we have delivered on dental care. 500,000 Canadian seniors have now accessed dental care just in the past few months, despite Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives' opposition to it every step of the way. 500,000 Canadian seniors have now had dental care, many for the first time in decades. This is a program that has helped Canadians. We still have work to do to continue rolling out dental care, and I hope the NDP will continue to fight for that. This fall, we're going to be moving forward on making sure that nobody has to choose between paying for groceries or rent or paying for much-needed insulin. Pharmacare is going to become a reality as we work on that in the House. And I hope the NDP stays focused on that. As a government, we're going to stay focused on delivering for Canadians at a time where people need that. We have, and the Bank of Canada announcement today underscored that, we have the strongest fiscal position of any country in the G7 right now. My belief, our belief is we need to set that fiscal position to work for Canadians by delivering spaces at $10 a day in daycares across the country, delivering dental care, rolling out to Canadians with disabilities and kids under 18, delivering a school food program that's going to make sure that kids don't sit in class too focused on their bellies rumbling to focus on the teacher. These are things that Canadians care about and need. These are the things that this government continues to focus on.
You know, I think the school food program using these students as pawns is what upsets me the most, because number one, education is not a federal responsibility. It is a provincial responsibility. And number two, if Trudeau wasn't taxing us all to hell and back, then parents would be able to afford to feed their children. If he didn't cause all this inflation with the endless money printing, parents would be able to afford to feed their children nutritious food. And instead of saying, wow, what caused this problem? He's going, oh, we should spend more money to slap a Band-Aid on it.
Well, like, it's easy to see the cause of the problem. You just have to look in a mirror.
Right.
But this is the thing, like the gaslighting that's going on. Wait a minute. So let's understand this, Trudeau. You have doubled the debt more than doubled, from around $600 billion to $1.3 trillion. And you continue to completely obliterate your initial, we're not going to spend more than $10 billion in deficit spending on a budget. You're tracking at over $40 billion for this year. And you're seriously trying to say that we have the strongest fiscal position of any... No one believes you, Trudeau.
The economists don't believe you. I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing that interest rates are coming down. It's good for Canadians. It's good for Canadians who have to renew their mortgages soon. But it's not usually a good sign for an economy.
Well, especially when you see a pattern of interest rates going up, slight pause, and then crash down. That is not a good sign of a healthy economy. I'm sorry. But, you know, this is all Trudeau knows how to do now, is gaslight, plead, and, you know,
cherry pick his stats.
Prime Minister Don Bradshaw, NTV, have you had an opportunity to think about what your fall will look like now? Will it be just a regular return to the House of Commons, or do you now have to start thinking about maybe calling an election before something happens?
I am not focused on politics. I'll let other parties focus on politics. I'm focused on actually delivering the things that Canadians told me this summer they need. I had thousands of conversations with people across the country. Very few of them wanted to talk politics. They wanted to talk how are they going to make sure that they can afford their rent as they get back to school in the fall. How they're going to be able to hope to one day be able to own a home. That's why we're investing in the most ambitious home building program the country has ever seen. They want to know how we're going to help with the price of groceries. Well, rolling out these school food programs right across the country as more provinces come on board is going to make a real difference in families' bottom lines. I'm focused on Canadians. I'll let the other parties focus on politics.
But with that said, you have to focus on politics at some point when you look at what you're doing. The announcement today, for example, the Bank of Canada rate dropping, it would seem like these would be positive signs that maybe you would want to go to the polls with. So when do you start thinking politically?
Oh, man.
that wasn't on my question sheet.
Yeah, you can see his brain short circuit in real time.
Like, I'm not thinking about politics.
What a stupid line. You're a politician. You should always be thinking about politics. I mean, I'm not a politician, and I'm always thinking about politics.
Well, and what does he even mean by that, right? And the answer is he's just trying to create some sort of scapegoat saying so that, you know, he's trying to shame the other parties. Well, oh, you're doing this. I'm focused on Canadians.
Right.
See, everybody, I
Right.
care about you. None of the other parties care about you. I care about you.
That's right.
So that's what that saying is. And we're going to spare you the answer because it doesn't, he doesn't really say anything. But he's panicked.
Yeah, I think so. I think this pulled the rug right out from under them because who was it a few days ago? Karina Gold had said, oh yeah, we're very confident in the supply and confidence agreement. And now it's over. And I know it may not seem like much. And it may not be much. I mean, words are cheap, right? But it's a tiny step in the right direction at least.
Well, and it's a sign that the political landscape is destabilizing in Canada in a good way. It increases the amount of risk that Trudeau's Liberals have in terms of minority government. What you will start to see in committee is the NDP going very aggressive after the Liberals. I don't think there's going to be any more committee shutdowns anymore, I can tell you that. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more aggression from the NDP. Well, you're going to be seeing it, posed at the Conservatives, but also the Liberals as well. Because again, all they've been hearing at these doors is, you're the same.
Why would I vote for you because you're supporting the Liberals?
Yeah, you're a hypocrite.
Yep.
At least the Liberals have been, kind of straightforward in destroying the country. You guys have been trying to talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Well, and that's what we've said before is that JT is going to do what JT is going to do. But Jagmeet Singh is the problem because he's the one allowing it to happen.
So they are now going to have to go into rapid distancing mode from the Liberals. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to really get their story straight. And the funny thing is even in that letter that we read, none of the party has their story straight.
No, it sounded like the party head or whoever had sent that initial email was kind of asking the party members, to think of reasons why they might have ended this supply and confidence agreement. And the other thing that I think is very telling that shows that the caucus is not unified is that email got out. That email got out 15 full minutes before Jagmeet Singh released his video, when there was strict instructions not to let that letter or that email get out to the media, and it did anyways. So it's possible it could have been a staffer, but it's equally as possible it could have been one of the MPs.
Yeah, it depends on what channel that they went to, because the members of parliament have a private account that is personal for them, and then they have their regular email account, which is usually assisted by staffers. So it depends on which channel this went on. So if it went to their private account, that means one of the caucus people leaked it out. But regardless, let's say it didn't, and it went to one of the regular accounts. That means a staffer leaked it out. So even the staffers of the NDP aren't too happy about what's going on. But we know that the caucus has been unhappy with how Jagmeet has been running things for a while now. And my money is on Matthew Green, because I think he's trying to gun for Jagmeet's job as a leader of the NDP. Not saying he's going to be a great leader of the NDP. I'm just saying I think he's gunning for his job. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was him, but that's just a theory.
Well, it remains to be seen. We have no idea who it was,
right.
But odds are good it was an MP or one of their staffers.
So we're going to be continuing to cover this over the next couple of days. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of strategic talk going on, and one thing is for sure, Parliament this fall is going to be even more spicy than we could have ever imagined before today.